Hello, hello, everyone. It is Wednesday and we are back. And this week I'm excited because we are going to cover Portugal, right, Hannah? I'm Stephanie Gillison. I'm here with my partner in crime, Hannah Maverick, and we are going to dive deep into Portugal this week, which if you go to airdomo.com, if you haven't checked us out, please do. But you're going to notice that we do have some listings there and they're quite amazing. And Portugal is quite the amazing place as well, too, isn't it?
It really is. My favorite countries we talk about are always in Europe, and Portugal is truly one of the most beautiful ones there is. And the fact that it has over 300 days of sunshine per year really doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt. And over 1,000 miles of Atlantic Ocean coastline. So, you've got beaches, and I'm sure where the location is, I have not ever flown to Portugal, but I've been there by boat and didn't get to spend enough time there. But, just something definitely to see. And in speaking with a lot of real estate brokers there in Portugal, there's been so much development over the course of the last several years. And, it's always consistently ranking in the top 10% on the Global Peace Index because it's one of the safest countries in the world. They've got rich cultural heritage from Lisbon tiled streets to Porto's wine traditions. And English is widely spoken. So that's a benefit and a plus for me because I haven't been able to learn any other languages.
Exactly. You were talking about the beaches. They are actually very, very famous for very surfable waves. And speaking of a lot of cultural heritage, there are over 18 UNESCO's sites of cultural heritage in Portugal. So it's definitely a country where you have a lot to see. The wine, the food, I always like to talk about that section of every country. The famous pastéis de nata are their famous dessert. It actually used to be made by monks because they used egg whites to starch their clothes, and then the leftover yolks, they would use that to make the pastéis de nata, which is like a puff pastry that has egg custard inside. It's very, very good.
It sounds amazing. And I've never even heard of that. So thank you for that education today. You and the food. I love
You're
it.
very welcome. So let's talk about Portugal. Why has it become such a popular destination for property investors?
It offers that perfect mix of lifestyle and investment potential. The country combines affordable property prices compared to several other Western European nations. Okay. There's strong rental demand, and that's driven by tourism. A lot of people want to tour and go to Portugal because it's got the welcoming environment for the international buyers. Lisbon and Porto have become global hotspots for urban investments, while the Algarve remains one of Europe's top holiday home destinations. So, there's a lot of things bringing it in. And, probably starting in about, I would say 2021, 2022, real estate brokers in that country were reaching out to me because they were really proactive in inviting us. And when I say us, other real estate brokers across the world to truly take a look at Portugal. They're very much proactive in introducing who they are, what they are, but also inviting development to come in. And it was amazing that they came together and really it's somewhat unheard of for them to truly reach out and ask that we all come make a trip there, come see what they're all about. And you get the form of advertising all the time, but these were actual phone conversations, these were phone calls, this was please come take a look at. And so it was a very nice, refreshing invite, so to speak.
Exactly. I love that proactivity. And when you said it's the perfect mix of lifestyle and investment potential, that is because Portugal is beautiful. There's so many things to do there. It's such a great second home destination. But the investment potential when it comes to rental opportunities is huge because last year, Portugal welcomed 29 million tourists. That is a lot of tourists that need a place to stay. So it's pretty obvious why it's such a good destination for investments. Now, speaking of that, what rules and procedures should foreign buyers know before purchasing property in Portugal?
So they had a golden visa program up until recently. That stopped in 2023, but there are other investment routes. They still want us there. They still want us to come and invest. But what they want us to do is for buyers to obtain a Portuguese tax identification number. All right. They just want everyone to be registered and so forth. When they were open with the Golden Visa program, it was almost a flood happening and it was a little bit harder to manage for them. And so this is just a better way for them to get managed. There's also a way for people to set up funds and business creations so that there's more investment into the country. That way they didn't have absentee owners, okay? Because what it was happening before is that if you purchased real estate, you received a golden visa automatically. Well, that left for a lot of vacant and abandoned property, and that's why they took it away. So now it's you apply for residency, and that's by obtaining a Portuguese tax identification number or by setting up a company, a business, so to speak. Now, you're going to expect 6 to 8% of the purchase price for the transfer tax, the notary, and registration fees. And then there is an annual property tax that will also be due each and every year. Foreign buyers can access local financing, often up to 60 to 70% loan to value. So that's a very much recognizable, just like the United States, 60 to 70% loan to value. Residency. Owning property supports residency applications, but it does not guarantee one by itself under current rules. So just because you buy property doesn't guarantee you residency. That's something to think about as well. So you would have to apply for residency separately if that's something that you're seeking.
Understood. So the reason why we would go to Portugal is pretty clear. Let's talk about which regions are most attractive for property investment. We obviously know about Lisbon, which is the capital, offering all the luxury apartments, the historic homes, and the strong rental yields. And then Porto, which is known for wine and the culture and growing international interest because it has affordable entry prices. What about others?
Well, you've got the Algarve. It's world famous for the coastal region with the high demand for the vacation villas and the golf resorts. It's got those fabulous beaches you were talking about. And look, if you like to play golf, that's where all these fabulous, famous golf resorts reside. The Silver Coast, that is emerging. It's emerging as an alternative to the Algarve. So it's a little bit more affordable, and it has the seaside towns like Nazaré and Peniche. Now, Madeira and Azores, those are islands with growing ecotourism and second home appeal. And I probably mispronounced those. So, Hannah, why don't you say those again?
Yes. So you were talking about Madeira and Azores. Madeira, if you haven't Googled, if you haven't seen that island, I urge you to, because it's one of the most beautiful places on earth. It's truly, truly magical. So that's something that definitely everyone should see.
Yeah, and that is spelled Madeira. So definitely take a look at that because it is amazing, like Hannah says.
Yes, it is great. So let's talk about trends. What are the trends that are shaping Portugal's real estate market right now?
There is a super, super strong international demand for those coastal villas. I mean, they're amazing. Like you said, I mean, you've got all this different shoreline. Who doesn't want to see the sea or the ocean, right? But then you also have demand for the city center apartments. People love going and being in that urban culture. The growth of short-term rentals, that is happening, okay? But because of the growth, there are getting to be stricter local regulations in Lisbon and Porto. So in those two areas, you definitely need to make sure before you purchase that we're checking out those regulations. Because if that is your intent to earn investment income, you need to make sure that you don't purchase a property that has a regulation that says you cannot do that. And that's Lisbon and Porto. Increasing demand for eco-friendly and energy efficient properties. That's in line with the EU's goals. That's going to be, across the board in the EU. But there's also the rising popularity of the secondary markets like that Silver Coast area because it's affordable and the growth potential remains strong. And so if you're looking at the ability to have long-term hold, that's where you're going to see quite a bit of appreciation throughout the year, throughout the years, but also have the ability for those legacy properties that maybe you're going to pass throughout the family and keep and hold. But again, when you look at these areas, you've got some pretty spectacular opportunities and new developments coming up every single day. So it's something to pay attention to at Airdomo, and it's something to make sure to reach out to us if that's of interest to you, because as these come about, they may not go online right away, but it's something that we can keep our eye on and make sure we notify you for those opportunities as they come.
Exactly. And I do want to second what you said about the increasing demand for eco-friendly and energy efficient properties because Portugal is a leader in renewable energy. At times, the entire country has run for multiple days solely on renewable energy sources, which is very, very cool to see in today's day and age. So that's definitely something that we want to keep an eye out for. And speaking of then how to achieve the best returns in Portugal, how can our investors do that?
Well, we've got to target those tourist heavy areas, right? That's where you're going to get the high rental yields, but we've also got to make sure that those are the areas or the properties that enable you to have those rental properties, that they're not regulated against it. All right. But also consider those secondary regions like Silver Coast for the long-term appreciation, like I stated before. Let's focus on the properties eligible for the rentals. Let's check with municipal rules and licenses let that be our job so that we're protecting you. Let's explore renovation projects in historical areas because that's happening too. There's incentives there locally in Portugal. And so there are developers that are taking old historical properties and then bringing them back. And then we're going to work together to make sure that whatever the goal it is that you have, that we're meeting that goal with you and making sure that you're protected along the way. Our goal here is to make sure that it's a smooth transaction. And again, that you get exactly what it is that you're wanting and what you're looking for. And we guide you every step of the way to do so. I love when we are bringing up these topics. And I know that we're going to start in the next several weeks to dive even deeper into some more specific subjects. Hannah, are we going to start that next week, I think?
Yes, we are going to start that in a couple of weeks because we still have two more countries that I'm very excited to cover. But after that's done, we're going to start diving more into specifically topics about global real estate and not countries, which we're all very excited about.
Absolutely. And if there's something that you really want us to talk about, please, please, please reach out to us, write to us, suggest a subject to us. We are here to service you. We're here to guide you and make sure that you are looking at airdomo.com and pretty soon getting registered so that you can receive all the great benefits that we have to offer. Hannah, did I leave anything out?
No, that's pretty much it. This has been a great one.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.